And yeah, let's welcome every day to session 5, day 2 of World Teachers Day. And I'm Melissa and I'm here with Allegra. Hi, Allegra.
Hi, Melissa. Hi, everyone.
Hi, it's nice to see you again. You might recognize Allegra. She's been here before. She loves talking about games. She's a primary teacher. Are you going to talk to us about a similar thing today, right?
Yes, different games, but yes.
Fantastic. Well, let me tell the audience a bit about you. Maybe they haven't seen your previous webinar, but they should go and search for it. So this is Alegra Nikolova-Ristovska, and she's got over 20 years of teaching experience. She teaches in North Macedonia. She's taught from ages 4 to 64. Wow, is that true, Allegra?
Yes, that is true. Yes.
Amazing. And you told me that you're teaching grade 1 this year, so
Yes.
6-year-olds.
Yes, 5 to 6 year olds. Yes.
Fantastic. So if you're a primary teacher, this is going to be perfect for you, and secondary as well.
Yes.
Well, Allegra loves reading. She loves learning languages. She's really open to new knowledge and experience. And what she loves more than anything is using games while teaching, and that's what she's going to talk to us about today. So, Allegra, when you're ready, you can start sharing your screen. We can start the webinar and I'll come back at the end. So, everyone, enjoy.
Okay. Let me just check whether you can see my screen. Is everything
Yes, I
in the
can.
presentation? Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Alegra, as Melissa said. This is the second time I'm presenting for the British Council. I have presented before. I talked about games, different set of games in May, and the British Council has given me this opportunity again, and I would like to thank the British Council for organizing this lovely event. I would like to apologize to all of you for the croaky voice, but wish as I may to be in tip-top shape for this session. Really, September and the first graders have not been gentle on my vocal cords, but I do hope that all of you will enjoy today's session. And as Melissa said, games and teaching the primary students is my passion. I have been specializing in teaching the youngest from age 5 to 10 for the last 16 years. So these games will be from my experience with the youngest, but I will be mentioning ways that you can use them with older students and even adults. So I hope that each and every one of you will learn something new or find something they like and something they will like to do with their students come Monday. So without further ado, let's start. Okay, my plan for today, I will start with variants of well-known games. Then I will go with explain, sorry, games that you might find new or exciting or interesting. And there will be activities that you can use to revise vocabulary primarily, but also grammar or culture or everything and anything in your curriculum. And of course, we will have time for questions. So if you have questions, write them in the Q&A and Melissa will relay them on. Okay, first of all, I would like to see the chat and please write yes or no. Do you play games in order to revise? I know you play games, but in order to revise the vocabulary, and if yes, which one is your favorite? I can see yes, but I can see a no as well. So for those of you who said yes, uh, I'm glad to hear that. For those of you who said no, okay, oh yes, sure, with all the students, why not? Bingo, yes, good job. But yes, for those of you who said no, I do hope that I will change your mind or at least encourage you to try something with your students. Okay, let's start with an activity that you probably know. And it's an activity that is one of my students' favorites. We'll start with 3 well-known activities, and then I'll move on with 2 that you probably don't know and will find new and or interesting. The stepping stones or river crossing is an activity that the first time I saw it, I liked it, but the teacher had set 5 or 6 flashcards on the floor, and the students imagined that they are crossing a river by stepping on the stones, and they had to name the object or name the number or letter that they stepped on in order to get across the river without getting wet. But here I have a variant. It's just a slight variation, because everything you see other teachers suggest in webinars or in conferences, you have to do a little bit of tailoring. You have to adapt them to your students. So here is something that I did with my students in September. I set the flashcards on the floor, and they were stepping stones, but I said not all of them are safe. Some of them are wibbly wobbly and are not safe to step on. So you have to be careful and step on those that I say you can step on. And for example, this student has all the letters in front of him or her, and I say you can step on I, and he or she has to decide whether this or this is the safe, or this one is the next safe step. So it is a variant. You can use more flashcards in this way, but you can also do it without any flashcards, because teaching in Macedonia, we have to be creative, because in some classrooms, all the students get is my voice, me, as a teacher, a blackboard and a piece of chalk. In some classrooms, they have a whiteboard and markers and me. And in some classrooms, again, we have, for example, even a smart board. So we have to be creative. And for those topics that I don't have the flashcards, I do this activity by drawings on the board. I draw the 2 riverbanks, I draw the stepping stones, and then on the stepping stones, you can do everything and anything you want. I start with the smallest students, 5 or 6-year-olds, with drawings, for example, shapes or animals or anything. And then you can move on to numbers, and then you can move on to letters. And then you can move on to words and pairs of words. It can be words written on the stepping stones, and they have to step on it and read it out correctly. Or it can be, they can step on the stone and then give you something related to it. I've done it with countries and nationalities. So they step on, for example, the USA stone, and they have to say the USA American. Or they step on the stone that says sheep, and they have to say a sheep and a lamb. So it can vary, and you can use it for anything, really anything. You can use it for vocabulary, as I said. You can use it for grammar, for the to be indefinite article. You can use it for the if clauses with older students. The step, not really secondary, but to upper primary, yes, you can use it. I've used it with if clauses with them. I've used it with sentences I've started and they have to finish them. For example, one stone would have I like, or she wants, or he can, and they have to finish the sentence. So you can use it with a little bit older students, but only for primary, I think. If I'm mistaken, you can correct me. And of course, you can use them, as I said, countries, nationalities, monuments and cities, if you've covered them, countries and capitals we had last year. So it can be used from the earliest age on. And here I have a variation, because not all, when you have larger classes, you can't do it individually with one student at a time. So I've come up with a way to do it with groups. So I divide the students in groups, and then I draw the 2 riverbanks and the stepping stones, and 2 groups can play at the same time and try to cross to the other side. And then they sit down and the other group comes, the other 2 groups come. So you can have all the students participate and not just one student active and the others watching. This is something that you can do with the larger classes, and they all try to get to the other side without getting wet, and you can make it competitive with two teams. It's lots of fun. You can revise everything and anything with it. And as I said, for the primary students, it's really a fun thing to do. And here are some examples from my own classes. Here is something I did with first graders, 5 and 6-year-olds. So they had to cross to the other side in teams of 4, and they had to name the next stepping stone, the shape. And here is something I did last year with 10-year-olds. We had just covered the, sorry, the present simple. And when the first time they saw it, yes, I started drawing the stepping stones, and they were like, yes, stepping stones. And then I wrote the sentences that was like, they were like, teacher, is that grammar? And I said, yes, but you will have fun because it will be in teams, and we'll see who gets to the other side without getting wet. And they started warming up to the idea, and we did it, and they ended up liking it, even with grammar. So I wrote positive sentences, and they had to make negative or questions. So you can practice grammar with it. The sky is the limit. What can I say? And this is from last month. This was revision of the alphabet in 2 teams, and I don't correct students. They know when they make mistakes, they get wet and everything. I just take mental notes of the mistakes they made or the stones they got wet on. And then after the activity is done and all the students have participated, then I say, well, the most common mistakes were you should pay attention with A and E or E and I. So I end up wrapping it up with as a learning, another learning opportunity, because it is revision. They will be revising, the alphabet, but at the end, I wrap it up with 30 seconds to a minute, again, discussing something that they have to learn. Pay attention to G and J, for example. That's something they struggle with, etc. So this is how I do it. If you don't have the flashcards, don't bother. Just draw the 2 lines as riverbanks, draw the stepping stones, and have fun with it. It is purposeful. You can, yes, thank you for the comments. It is purposeful. You will find a way to do everything. As I already said, you can do everything and anything with it, and the sky is the limit, or it will get your creative juices flowing. What can I say? Why play it? As I said, you can start with the youngest students with drawings and then move up to letters or numbers or words, reading out words, reading sentences, or completing sentences, changing sentences. My students' least favorite was when I had them change from first person singular to third person singular. They did it, but they said, teacher, could you lay out the grammar? I said, okay, next time, do it this time, and next time it will be again vocabulary. So it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And if they think they have a choice, if they think they can do something even more interesting next time, they will do it. Grammar is their least favorite, but this is a way that you can make them, through a game, practice grammar as well. As I said, you can practice opposites, the past participle, famous food and countries of origin. I've done it all, and it's all very interesting for the students. That's why I chose this activity. You can build on the complexity, and it will grow with your students. You can start with the basic with the 5 and 6-year-olds, and then it will grow because you will start being more demanding. So I do hope you like it. And again, for the basic version, you will need flashcards. For this version, no special preparation resources needed, only goodwill. Okay, I do hope you like it. Could you just say yes or no, could you use this as a variation? And what else do you think you can revise? Did you have any new ideas? Oh, I could do this. For example, I do that the whole time. A lot of yeses. Yes. Thank you for that. I love the yeses, definitely. Okay, well, I do hope that you will love the other activities as well. Okay, I have to move on to the next one. This is probably something you all know, the aquarium or the fish tank. It's just literally a box with flashcards in it. It can be a fancier box like this one. It can be a smaller shoebox. It can be any box, even a ripped box like this one, which I used this September because I couldn't find a better one. It's any box that you put flashcards in it. And the first time I play it with new students, for example, the first graders, I put flashcards that with the vocabulary we've covered, and I go around the classroom, and they have to, without looking, choose one or fish out a fish from the aquarium and name it. And to make it more interesting for them, I say, here, fishy, 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 just for the first graders, not for the older ones. They already know the activity, but for the first graders, it gets them giggling, it gets them motivated, it gets them more relaxed and eager to do it. And this is my advice to you. As you go around the classroom and they take out the flashcard, don't make any comments. Because the first time I do it, or even the first 2 times I do it as a self-assessment activity. I don't make any comments because by the bowed heads when they don't know the word, or the smug faces when they know the word, they already know whether they knew what to say or not. So you don't have to say anything, no comments. But at the end of the activity, when everyone has finished, I would say, well, we could revise these 3, for example, because some of the students didn't know them, or I would just skip that and just let them be familiar with the activity, because a little bit of scaffolding never hurt anyone. And the next time I do it, and now here, I know you know this part, but the next time I do it, I start using sentences. And when they take out the word, for example, they take out a zebra, and they take out the flashcard with a zebra and they say zebra, I would say, a zebra. Yes, it's a zebra. And that just to get them familiar with it, to get them get to know it, the sentences and everything. And the third time we do this, I say, well, as you know, you can say it with a word, but you can use a sentence as well. And then I go around the classroom, completely different set of flashcards, because I do it once or twice a term, not more than that. And then they take out and they try to make the teacher proud, and they try to use the sentence. And then, for example, at the end of the third time, I would say, well, next time we could make it into a game if you want. And if you use a sentence, you could get points, more points. And the next time, I really do try it out with the more competitive classes. It really does depend on the class. If the class is a little bit more quiet and shy and they're not really into competitive games, don't force them, but you can suggest it and see if they like it. And then I would go to the classroom and we would award 2 points for a sentence and 1 point for a word, correct word. And you will see that all of them will participate and all of them will try to get the 2 points with the sentence. So it is nice, a transition from a word to a sentence level. They will not feel forced to do it. They will try to do it to get the 2 points for their team, because I do it in a team. I do it 2 teams, and then they try to get the 2 teams for their the 2 points for their team. A little bit of healthy competition is always welcome, I think, but again, it depends on the class. If they don't like it as a competitive game, don't force them. Just do the basic version. That will be fine as well. And if you don't have a set of flashcards for that activity, if you don't have, for example, a box with you, you can always swap. For example, I sometimes use the magic bag and use Realia if I don't have flashcards. For example, I go around with the magic bag, they take out something and they have to name it. It can be Realia, it's a rubber, etc. So you can make it even a variant. You can make it, today we're playing the aquarium, but next time we can play, for example, the magic bag. Well, depends, but the aquarium is the favorite with my students. So, and all of them, as I said, all of them will participate, and all of them will try to make it into a sentence. So to get the 2 points for the team. Have you used the aquarium? And would you use it with sentences? Would you use it as a team competition? Can you write quickly in the chat? No. No, you haven't used it, Mahmoud, or no, you wouldn't use it. Yes, I've never used it. I would like to try it. Yes, feel free to try it. Even the basic version with flashcards and going around the classroom is useful. But yes, the mystery box. Yes, you can play it. You can say it. It's a mystery box. I've come across it as the aquarium. I know some call it the fish tank. And the mystery box, I like that. So feel free to use it. It really is such a simple activity to use, and it really is useful. And yes, I will use it. Thank you, Maria, for that. Yes, if you don't have the flashcards, I do simple drawings. I make my own flashcards if I don't have a ready-made set. So it just takes a little bit of imagination and a whole lot of goodwill to do it. Okay, then next we have another one. This one is called Pile Them Up. The first time I saw it, it was called Pile Them Up, but my students have renamed it, yes, you and me, because I set a set of flashcards on the desk, and 2 students come up, and the first time I play any game, including this one, I only have 2 volunteers. I have 2 volunteers, and let me tell you this, it is an advice from me. You don't have to do it. You can use immersion all you want. But the first time I do any activity, any new activity or game, I always explain the rules and the gameplay with, in English and in Macedonian. Most of you or some of you may not agree, but I really strongly believe that it is better to have all the students understand the rules and know how to play it and be encouraged to play it than to have to explain the rules only in English and then have 2 or 3 students who understood and want to do it, and have 20 students who are confused and 3 who haven't understood anything and they don't want to get anywhere near you. So I always, the first time I do any activity, I explain the rules in English and in Macedonian. And I have 2 volunteers come up to the desk. I set out the flashcards and I name whatever it is on the flashcards. The first one to touch it puts it on his or her pile. I know probably most of you know it, but it is something that worth remembering because I had forgotten it for a while, and it just came to mind and I started using it again and I'm having lots of fun. I use it once a semester though, Just so you know, it's not something that I use in every lesson. I change up the games. I never repeat myself, or almost never, because I think that when you keep them guessing when they don't know what a game or activity you have planned for them, they will be motivated, they will be more interested, and they will participate more. And when we do it the first time with two volunteers, I leave it at that. And then the next time I would do it with peers as they are sitting, pile them up with, or you and me, you or me, with two sets of hands, two students at the desk. You will see the photo shortly. But then, because I have large classes, I put the students in two rows. So one behind the other, two rows of students, and they come up to the desk two by two. I say a word, and the one who finds it first puts it on their pile, and they go and sit down, and other two students come up. So it can be adapted to bigger classes as well. And it's simple to use, very straightforward, but it is used for only vocabulary. So it can be picture flashcards, it can be words, it can be letters, numbers, but it's only for vocabulary, not more than that, just to have something to have in mind. Here are my students playing it. Pile them up. You can see the more successful student has already put some on his pile. But yes, it's really straightforward, and it's something you can, as I said, adapt to bigger classes, larger number of students, because yes, you can use TPR. Yes, I agree. But my experience has shown me that for the new games, something I use for the first time, it is better to explain in Macedonian. The second time we use it, any game for the second time or any activity, English is enough, because I am expressive and I use my hands and body to explain. So the second time or any other time we use it, English is fine. They already know what they're supposed to do. Okay, so it's really an easy game, something that you can do. Just a set of flashcards, nothing more is needed. Okay, why play it? As I said, easy flashcards. All you need is flashcards. I even make my own flashcards, as I said. You can do this one at the end of a lesson with just the vocabulary from that lesson, at the end of a module with smaller groups maybe. But when I do it at the end of a term with a larger number of flashcards, then I put the students in two rows and we do it as a whole class activity. 5 to 6 minutes, nothing more than that is needed, maybe even more. So, okay, yes, thank you for that. Yes, you can make the students explain. Yes, of course, if they are older, but the first graders, yeah, not really. But thank you for that suggestion. For the older students, sure. Okay, sorry. Now, if you don't mind, I will continue with two activities of my own. One is called dips, and I really and truly invented this one. I came up with it on a winter afternoon when my children were bored and were trying to get me to allow them to use the PC or a smartphone to play games because they were that bored. And I said, well, if you're that bored, let's play a game. And I came up with Dips and they liked it. And then I played it with a group of my more successful students, let's say, because they are really 9 to 10-year-olds at the top. I teach from them from grade 1 to 4, and then that's it. So I tried it out with the third graders at that time, and the better students, the more successful ones, did get it and did like it. So I played it last year with the whole classes when they were 9 and 10-year-olds in the fourth grade, and they really did like it because It's really fun, and it's easy to understand what they are supposed to do. And I love it because no resources are needed. Whenever you have free time at the end of the lesson, you can do this. You don't need anything at all. Just explain it the first time, do it with 2 volunteers. It's really a simple game. I would explain the rules, and the students play. I would say the first one will call dibs and choose whichever word he or she wants to make a sentence with. And the other one has to use the other word. And when they hear this, that they can choose which word to use, and that the other one has to use the other one, they are so excited. For example, the first time I played it with descriptive adjectives. And if you would say to your students, write 5 sentences or make 5 sentences with descriptive adjectives, they would be like, whoa, really, why? But when you play a game like Dips and you make them make a sentence with descriptive adjectives or anything you want, they are excited because they think they have a choice. They think they can choose, and they can choose which adjective to use and make the other one use the other word. But actually, they don't have a choice. They will be using vocabulary in sentences, but they don't know it. They're happy to do it because they think they have a choice. So, depending on the class, again, you can make it competitive. You can distribute 2 points for the correct sentence, and incomplete sentences can be 1 point, but you don't have to do it. The basic version is just fine. And you will see how they will progress. For example, the first time I played Dibs, okay, Patricia, like that comment, please do try it. The first time I played Dibs with my students, I just said, you will say dibs on, and you will choose whichever word you like. And I used happy and sad. I remember I used happy and sad. And they didn't remember to use dibs on. The student said dibs and said happy, dibs happy, but that's fine. And he used it in a sentence, and he said something like, I'm happy, or something like that. And he said, now we have to use, he said to the other student, now you have to use the other one. But she said, no problem. Sad. She had to use sad, and said, she's sad. And she was proud because she didn't go the easy way and say, I'm sad. She said, she's sad. And then you will see them developed because, as you will see from my examples from my own teaching, that they will develop and they will progress, and you will see it in a game. Because the next time we played it with verbs, for example, they use sentences like I can jump, dibs on, for example, fly, a bird can fly, and mistakes will happen. They might not say a bird can fly, they might say bird can fly, but I don't correct them. Again, this is the second time I'm saying this. I don't want to be boring, but it is very crucial for me not to correct them when they are trying to say a sentence, when they're producing something in English. I just take mental notes of the most common mistakes. And at the end of the lesson, when everyone has had his or her turn, then I say, some of you have made a mistake. I never point out which student, I never put them on the spot. I just say, 1 or 2 students have made mistakes. For example, he or she said, not he or she, but I would say, they said, bird can fly, and you know it should be a bird can fly. So yes, fluency, Asia, is more important. And at the end of the activity, when everyone is done, you will still have time to say, to make the grammar points, to correct them, but don't mention names. That is my opinion. Don't mention names. Don't say Peter did that or Christy made a mistake. No, I just say, I did hear a little bit, sorry, I did hear a mistake or two. You said this and this, and what were they supposed to say? And then I would elicit from the students if they are a little bit older, and they will provide you with the correct, and it will be a learning event for them as well. Okay, I really do think you like it. And when we covered the countries and the cultural part of the curriculum, this was interesting. I said we were playing dibs, and I said London and Paris. And I was expecting London is the capital of the UK or Paris is the capital of France. And I got the Big Ben is in London and eat croissants in Paris. So they will they will be very creative. You will be amazed at what they come up with. And as I have written down here, the first time we played it, they said dibs play or dibs happy. And the second year we played it, last year when they were 10-year-olds, they said, I called dibs on play, and I got a sentence like this: Messi plays football every day. It's progress. And they are making progress. And I'm so happy when I see that they are progressing each and every time I use something and they like it. And when they leave your classroom with a smile on their faces, but they have progressed, they have learned something new, I think I've done a good job. I think all of us have done a good job when they are progressing, when they are learning, when they are getting more confident in English. And if you're using a game and they leave your classroom with a smile on their faces even after revision, you've done a great job. Okay, I do hope you like dibs. I could see in the chat that some of you said they want to try it out. Again, why? You can use it with any topic you want. You don't need any resources at all. It's really easy for students to understand how to play it, even if you explain it only in English. And even without the competitive version, they are relaxed because they think, oh, we are playing a game. But they are actually revising everything, and they are using vocabulary and grammar to put them into sentences without even being aware of the process of creating sentences or the progress they're sharing or showing. So yeah, it's really fun. I do hope you try it. If you liked it, please write yes. And if you want, you can write why you think your students might find it interesting. I do hope, yes, a lot of yeses. Thank you so much. Yes, students are inquisitive. Thank you for all the yeses. I have another activity I want to share before my time is up. I think I have to hurry up a little bit. Okay. And for this one I have to thank Alexandra Popovsky for, because I will mention this. She used this at a conference in Skopje with adults. And I will first explain how she did it with adults. It was a debate, and the activity was take a stand, and we would stand. She had us stand up, and they would say arguments, pro and con. And if the audience, those who debated, were debating, and the audience had to move to the right if they agreed with that argument, or move to the left if they didn't agree. As I was standing as an adult in that conference room in Skopje, I immediately thought of a way I could use this with my students. And I called it left and right because I tweaked it a little bit for my students. They are smaller, so take a stand would not have any meaning for them. I called it left and right, but my students renamed it clearly, and they call it bumping cars. It's a very versatile game. You can play it anytime you want. And what is most important, you can play it in an emergency. And just to be clear what an emergency is for me, for example, the last time I played it, it was 2 weeks ago. The moment I was stepping into the classroom, one of the students threw up. I'm sorry to speak about this, but it's the reality. So I made a split-second decision. I took out all the other students. I said, we're going to play a game in the schoolyard. I took them out in the schoolyard. I texted the teacher to go and fetch the student to just make sure he's okay, call the parents or whatever, because she is their resident teacher. And I played the game with the other students, this game, pumping cars in the schoolyard. And the cleaning lady did her job, aired the classroom, and 10 minutes later, we came back to the clean classroom. So it is something you can use in a regular class, but it is something you can use in case of an emergency. And they too do come up very regularly in my lessons. So if something like this happened, tricks up your sleeve like bumping cars is something you should have as a teacher. No resources needed. You can revise anything and everything with it. You can revise vocabulary such as animals or grammar, such as tenses or countries and nationalities, anything you want. I will be stopping my screen share for a moment. Yes, indoors and outdoors, I will explain it with a stop share because it will be easier for you when you see me. Can you see me? Okay, so students in my classroom, students sit two at a desk, not two students behind the desk. I can make them push the chairs up against the desk and they stand behind their chairs. So the students are like this, one beside the other. And I will say to a pair of two words. If you think it's a matching pair, move to the right and then come back behind your chair. If you think it's not a matching pair, move to the left and then come back. For example, if we covered farm animals and baby animals, I would say, for example, a duck and a duckling, and they should move to the right and come back. If, for example, I say a goat and a lamb, they should move to the left and back. As you can see by the movement of my hands, if they make a mistake, gentle bumping will occur. My students know the rules: no kicking, no screaming, no bumping, no shouting, no hitting each other. So they respect the rules. So bumping cars, the bumping effect will happen when they make mistakes. In order to not be an unruly class, keep in mind not to make it too long. 2, 3, top 4 minutes tops, not more than that, because the longer you play it, it will be something that will end up with unruly students. They will try and bump on purpose. So you set the rules, yes, but 2 or 3 minutes, it will be just fine. Indoors, as I said, behind their desk, behind their chairs, two students, one beside the other. But outdoors, I play it in a circle. The students are in a circle. And since they are closer to each other, the movements will collisions are more likely. But that's fine. As long as they are practicing English. And, as you progress, as they grow up, you start with, for example, matching opposites, or you can use it, I've used it with shapes and objects. For example, I would say rectangle and door. If it's a matching pair, move to the right. Or for example, a circle and sun. and the sun and the circle. And yes, they move to the right or the left, but then you can use it with sentences. I've used it with sentences for culture. For example, I used it last year with sentences like the Big Ben is in London, or the Eiffel Tower is in Paris, or the Eiffel Tower is in London, depending on my inspiration. So yes, they liked it, but I've used it with grammar as well, because you can use it with, for example, sentences like she like apples. And if they think that it's a correct sentence, they move to the right. If it isn't a correct sentence, they move to the left. But keep in mind that they need thinking time. The first time you play it with grammar, with sentences, a second or two more for them to think about the sentence. Just keep that in mind, and they will do it. And this is a game that grammar will be practiced with. They will think about, and then you can, at the end of the lesson again, repeat why play it. It's useful to revise lots of topics. You can use it with pairs of words, sentences. Every single student will participate. No preparation needed, no resources at all, and very useful in case of emergency. I do hope that you liked it. Do you think your students would like it? Do you think they would um, have fun doing it? And do you think it's purposeful? Because it is something that every game I play, it has to have a purpose. It has to be meaningful and not just to kill time. Yes, a lot of yeses. Thank you for those. Thank you, Gazala. I think it was Gazala. Thank you. Yes, I did try to single out the 5 best I could for this time, for this presentation, although I presented 5 earlier. But thank you for your attention. I do hope at least one thing was new for you, and at least one thing will be something you try out with your students, and I do hope your students will like it. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A, and Melissa will be here with us to ask away.
Hi. Thanks, Allegra. That was full of ideas. I mean, I think everyone's got at least one game, definitely more than one game that they've got to take away with them. We have lots of thanks flooding in. That's fantastic. So, yeah, just a wonderful session. You
Thank you.
can stop sharing your screen now, and then we can look at questions. Let's take a look. Do you have questions for Allegra? Then please send them in. We've got enough time to answer your questions, and we love having your questions. I know that there's some already, so yeah, let's go. Let's go straight to it. I guess a question for me comes first. How many games do you have, Allegra? You must have hundreds.
Hundreds, yes. And I tend not to use any game more than 2 or 3 times a year.
Okay.
They're really very favorite,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 4 times a year, twice a term, not more than that. Because when you
Okay.
keep them guessing and they don't know what's in store, they are eager and they know that they will have a game at the end of the lesson if we cover the material, if they're
Mm-hmm.
disciplined. So yes, it is something that they look forward to. And as I said, if they leave my class with something learned and with a smile on their face, that's all I can ask for as a teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they're going home with a smile on their face because all those games seem really, really fun. Um, Somebody asked, and I've lost it because there are just so many comments about when you play the games. I think you just answered them. Are these mostly a reward at the end of a
Well,
session,
you
or
can
what
play
would you?
them. No, like it's like this. I always plan 1 or 2 games for every lesson. I have
Uh-huh.
planned 1 or 2 games for every lesson. If I one is for sure, but they have to be
Mhm.
disciplined to get it, so they usually are, and we play that one. And I always have 1 or 2 backup games for that session and for that lesson. I always do this preparation because I don't want to have to come up with something just to kill time. I don't,
Yeah.
it's something that has to be really purposeful. So
Hmm.
at the end of the lesson, I would play these games, always purposeful games. And I have always one for sure, one or two if we have time. But if they have done really, really well and they ask, could we play that game? I would allow it if they really have done well and they've learned whatever it was as in the aim of the lesson. But it's something I play at the end of the lesson for sure. Some
Hmm.
games I play at the end of a single lesson, like the games
Hmm.
I previously mentioned in the first presentation I made, like rectangles and squares, or
Yeah.
stars, at the end of a single lesson to cover the vocabulary from that lesson. But
Hmm.
these games that I presented today are mostly something they can do at the end of a module or at the end, even at the end of a term. So I vary the games regularly. I never, almost never repeat myself unless they do want it and like it. Then I would
Hmm.
allow it for them. So yes,
Yeah. I love that because it gives like the kids are getting choice, but it's like it's
yes.
almost the illusion of choice because you know
Yes,
they're
it
going
is the illusion of choice. Yes, thank you for
to.
that, Melissa. It really is that way. And I
Yeah.
give them choice even for homework. I
Uh-huh.
say for homework, pick and choose whichever three of the five questions you want to answer. And
Hmm.
it's really not a choice because they have to think about all five questions, whether they can
Yeah.
or want to
Yeah.
answer it, and then they answer three. Or if I say, for example, if we've covered seasons, I would say you can draw the four seasons and just name them with a word or
Mm.
a sentence, or you can draw one season and then, for
Hmm.
example, describe it, write sentences about it. And when you give them choice, all the
Yeah.
students will do it, all of them.
Yeah.
And I've had students do two, the two
Wow.
choices, or the
Really?
three. I once gave them out of three, and I had one student who did all three. So, but all the
Yeah.
students do it when you give them, but don't do it every single lesson. Once in a while, give them a choice. I
Yeah.
think they have a choice. They will be doing homework,
That's
but they
absolutely
think they have a
amazing.
choice.
Yeah, yeah, it's the psychology behind it. You've thought
Yes,
about it really well, because I can see that even if I was in my adult language French class, I would be motivated by that as well. I also like even like dibs has a choice because you've got
yes,
just even
yes,
just two words and you've got to think about both of them. There's a lot of thinking
yes,
involved, and
yes.
that's really nice.
But they do
Uh-huh.
think they have a choice and they will be practicing sentences and you will revise the vocabulary. It's only a game. So they are
Yeah.
relaxed. You've taken the
Yeah.
focus out of revision, but they are revising. So,
Hmm. Oh, that's really true. And games are not just games, right? The kids think they're games, but we know that they're doing
well,
revising, really
if
good
you choose them
revising.
correctly,
Yeah.
yes. If it's not something to kill time, yes, they will be something very useful for you as teachers, because if your students are having fun in your lesson, it's flowy and you
Hmm.
keep your teaching fresh
Yeah.
when they don't know what's in store. And
Uh-huh.
I get excited when I have to pick and choose the next, for example, the next um, or the next week. And
Hmm.
sometimes I get inspired at the beginning of a module when I think about the module, and sometimes I think about which games I could play. And I like
Hmm.
sticky notes, so I write down five or six that I could use and I stick them on my um, notebook. And
Hmm.
if we have time to kill, I just flip open, see the sticky note, and say, for example, we can use this and this, but it's always purposeful. And even
Yeah.
give them a choice. You can use, would you like to play rectangles and squares or stars? Or would you like to play dibs or
Hmm.
last man standing, for example. They like
Hmm.
that one as well, and you can do it without anything. Or hot potato, if you have a bowl, which I always have this small,
Uh-huh.
soft bowl. It's in my bag, play hot potato or something. It's nice to have tricks up your sleeve.
Yeah. So just in case anyone doesn't know, I think I know how to play hot potato, but with the ball that you've got there, how do you play hot potato? Just in case anyone watching
Okay.
doesn't know.
The students are in a circle, and
Uh-huh.
this is the potato, and it's very hot. And they have to name, for example, if we've covered animals, they have to name an animal, not repeating the others, and they have to pass the hot potato to
Okay.
the next student
Hmm.
without getting burned. So it has to be done in 2 or 3 seconds so as not to get burned by the hot potato. So they would say zebra and pass it, and the other one would say, for example, monkey and pass it along. And if a student comes along who doesn't know how to say it, and 3 seconds have passed, we say, you're burned, and he or she sits down. And if you ran out of animals, you can continue with colors or anything you've covered before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, if you have the ball, it's the same game like last man standing. It's called hot potato. If you don't have the ball, then it's called last man standing. The same game,
Oh,
circle,
okay.
change it up. Just it's called the last man standing. The winner is the last man standing. So if I have the ball,
Nice.
it's called hot potato.
I sometimes when I don't have a ball, I just like make a ball from a piece of paper and then
Yes,
it's a ball.
I've even used
Yeah.
a large sharpener or a large rubber
Yeah.
realia, use, manage. But since I've figured out that if I don't use anything, I can call it the last man standing. Yes, I now
Yeah.
don't use anything and call it last man standing.
There's a question from Qin. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. That asks, I have a classroom with a narrow space and fixed tables and chairs. What kind of games could we play? They could play hot potato, actually, because you
They
don't need
could
to
play hot
stand
potato.
up and
They
move.
could
You
play
can
dibs.
pass.
Yes, they could
Yeah.
play hot potato. They could play dibs. Just in pairs. You and me, as I explained, put the flashcards on their desk. It doesn't have to be a lot of flashcards at the end of term. It can be from that module or from that lesson. Set the flashcards. They can play it, pick them up, pile them up, and then move on to the next pair. So yes, any
Oh,
game
sounds great.
in each and every one of these games can be played that way.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming today, Allegra. We've run out of time.
It's
So
been
we're
a
going to say
pleasure.
goodbye. It's been definitely been a pleasure for us to. So everyone, thank you to participating. Thank you to everyone who has been commenting. It's been fantastic. Thanks to Joe and Anne for helping moderate the session and on Facebook. Thanks to Louise who's there. So we're going to come back in 15 minutes with the last session of today, but it's not the last day. We've got tomorrow. The last session of today is about creating global citizens with Marcela Villan. So we hope to see you there soon. Go and have a break and come back.
Bye,
See you later,
everyone.
everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.